How would your proposal reinforce those, or what sanctions would there be if candidates or committees did not comply with this ordinance?
Maybe the County Counsel would like to address that.
Chairman, we are just now looking at initiating the research and the review and the drafting of this ordinance. We typically do have penalties associated with our ordinances so that we do have enforcement, but we haven't begun to review this, and so we would like an opportunity to do that.
So that would all be part of the motion to go forward and make sure it's a well integrated approach and a practical one. Right, Supervisor Benoit.
Yes, I'd like to just address a couple of the comments, some of which were right on point, others were, other topics really. With regard to the number of citizens who had access to information, it's clear that not every citizen has a computer and can get on every day and check this. It's something that, the numbers are growing, but admittedly that's not everybody's bag at this point. They're not ready to do that. The important point, though, is that two groups do have access. That is, number one, the media. And what we're looking for is transparency, and they do follow in the state races today on a daily basis who is contributing to these races, and in many cases publish that information, particularly when it appears that all the money is coming from a particular source or there's some newsworthy component of that information. They can only be assured of having that information, though, if there's a requirement that it be reported electronically and within 24 hours of major donations within that 90-day stretch before an election. So it actually resolves a significant problem in lack of that availability. Another one that was mentioned is that under the current system, someone who chooses to file with paper, again, a very small minority in county races, county-wide races, but they can, by doing so, delay the publication of that information for up to, I think it was mentioned, months after the actual election date. This would not allow anybody to hide that information for that critical period of time. It fixes, therefore, the delays. As far as limits, we've had that discussion before. I'll just reiterate a concern I have. It's not just in Riverside, not just the state, but at the federal level, in the entire democracy, which, by the way, is the worst form of government known to man, except for all the others that have been devised. That's a famous quote. The U.S. Supreme Court last year, or maybe a year before that, issued an opinion that basically struck down federal rules, and it has application, obviously, all the way down to Riverside County, that enforce the ability of any organization to make independent expenditures on behalf of a candidate because of a First Amendment right. And if you take that into consideration, and we have individual campaign contribution limits, but we'd have no limit at all on organizations, the power obviously flips to the organizations who have this enforced right to give any amount they want at any time. Given that that is the state of the law under the federal U.S. Supreme Court decision, the only answer is to at least be able to know who's doing that. And that's what this ordinance gets to, is a immediate release within 24 hours of that information within 90 days of any election. This is the beginning of the process. It will move now to the drafting of the actual language. Comments made here today will be taken into consideration in that process. That having been said, I would move approval.
And I'll second that. I'll say something else here, too. What we've noticed now with just, elections here around the county is the vote by mail and the absentee numbers are going up. And, of course, those ballots are sent out, I don't know, carry what, a month and a half or so before, 2 months before the actual election? 29 days. Okay. So they got on floods and people start voting. And so the campaign is lengthened. And the campaign is, the campaigns really, if there are several candidates involved or issues, are looking at and can go and get the information as to who has already voted, how many members have voted. And so they're getting, as it were, feedback as the campaign proceeds. And so they can adjust their strategies in those last, 30 days or so. And if they need more money, if they think that the vote count that they're getting so far, or the way the votes are coming back in, may pose a problem for gaining an advantage, for winning, then they can go out and solicit additional funds. And the funds are unlimited. There's no cap here in this county on that fundraising ability. They have to be reported if they're over $1,000 within 24 hours. That's true. So the way what is happening during campaigns is a rolling process now. It is a dynamic one, and it's increasingly important in the closing days of the campaign to have as accurate and up-to-date information flowing out, particularly to the voters and the public, as possible. So this is an effort. It's not a perfect, a complete effort, but this is one effort to try to get to that end, and it's really important from a wide variety of standpoints. So I want to compliment Supervisor Benoit for pushing it onto our agenda. And any further comments, please vote. And that's carried 4 ayes, all 4 votes.